When we are young, we believe that sharing everything makes us lighter, but life teaches us something very different. As the years pass, we don't lose strength, we gain wisdom, and wisdom whispers softly, speak less, observe more, protect your peace. Old age is not the evening of life. It is the time when light becomes gentle but deep. And today, I want to share something very important with you: 8 things which, in old age, should never be shared with anyone, not out of fear, but out of self-respect and inner balance. When we are young, we believe that sharing everything makes life lighter. We talk easily, we explain quickly, we express constantly, but life has its own way of teaching us. Slowly, through experiences, through silence, through moments of joy and pain, we realize that maturity is not about speaking more, it is about knowing when not to speak. Old age is not a decline, it is a refinement. It is the stage where wisdom replaces noise, and peace becomes more important than approval. As the years pass, we understand that not everyone who listens understands, and not everyone who smiles wishes us well. That is why discretion becomes a form of self-care. In old age, protecting your inner world is more important than impressing the outer one. Your weaknesses, for example, do not need public attention. Once upon a time, sharing vulnerability brought comfort, but later in life, it often attracts judgment. Strength at this stage is not about pretending you have no pain, but about choosing carefully who deserves to know it. Money is another sensitive area. Financial details have the power to quietly disturb relationships. Even well-meaning people start seeing you differently once numbers are involved. Peace fades when comparison begins. What you have earned through a lifetime of effort deserves privacy, not discussion. Silence here is not secrecy, it is wisdom. Family matters too deserve protection. Every home has its struggles, its misunderstandings, its unfinished conversations. When these stories are shared outside, they rarely return unchanged. Words travel, meanings twist, and bonds weaken. Protecting your family sometimes simply means saying less about them. Then there are regrets. Everyone has them, but repeatedly speaking about what went wrong keeps the heart tied to yesterday. Old age is meant for acceptance, not self-punishment. Learn from the past, bow to it, and gently move forward. Carrying regret loudly only exhausts the soul. Plans and dreams also need silence. When spoken too early, they invite unnecessary opinions and doubts. Let life see your results before it hears your intentions. Quiet effort often succeeds where loud announcements fail. Loneliness is another truth many experience, but it must be shared with care. Not everyone who listens can hold your emotions responsibly. Some conversations leave you feeling emptier than before. Sometimes a peaceful walk, a prayer, or quiet reflection heals more than words ever could. Expectations, especially from people, can quietly steal happiness. When we share them, we hand over control of our peace. In old age, happiness must be simple and self-created. Less expectation, more acceptance, that is freedom. And finally, remember this: not everything needs to be shared. Life is not an open book meant for everyone's reading. Some thoughts are sacred, some feelings are private, and some truths are meant only for your heart. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is wisdom resting. Old age is not about proving anything. It is about preserving what truly matters: peace, dignity, and inner balance. Speak when it adds value. Stay silent when it protects your peace. That is not withdrawal from life, that is mastery of it. There comes a stage in life when we stop running after noise and start valuing stillness. In youth, we feel that being heard is important, that expressing everything will somehow solve everything. But as life moves forward, it gently teaches us that peace does not come from expression alone, it comes from discernment. Old age is not about having fewer words. It is about having deeper understanding behind every word spoken and every word withheld. With time, we realize that everyone has ears, but very few have the heart to understand. That is why wisdom often chooses silence. Sharing weaknesses once felt natural, even necessary, but later in life, those same weaknesses can be misunderstood or misused. Strength in old age is not loud confidence. It is quiet self-respect. You don't need to explain your struggles to feel validated. Your journey has already shaped you. Financial matters also require maturity. Money is a sensitive energy. The moment it enters a conversation, equations change. Comparisons arise silently, expectations grow invisibly, and relationships become transactional. What you have built over a lifetime deserves dignity and privacy. Not every question deserves an answer, and not every curiosity deserves satisfaction. Family is sacred, yet fragile. Every household has moments of tension, misunderstanding, and pain. When such matters are spoken outside, they rarely return with healing. They return with opinions. Protecting family does not always mean fixing everything. Sometimes it simply means not advertising what is broken. Silence can be an act of love. Regret is another companion that often visits with age. Thoughts of what could have been done differently, words that could have been spoken better, paths that were not chosen. But repeatedly sharing regrets keeps the heart anchored in the past. Old age is meant to be a time of grace, not guilt. What has happened has already become a teacher. There is no need to turn it into a punishment. Dreams and plans still exist, even in later years, but they need quiet nurturing. When plans are spoken too soon, they invite doubt and unnecessary advice. Let your actions announce your intentions. The universe responds better to silent effort than loud declarations. Loneliness, too, must be handled with care. Everyone feels it at some point, but sharing it with the wrong people can make you feel even more isolated. Some listen to reply, not to understand. In such moments, silence, prayer, nature, or reflection can become better companions than conversation. Expectations, especially from others, often become a source of disappointment. When we speak them aloud, we unknowingly tie our happiness to someone else's behavior. In old age, happiness should be lighter, simpler, and self-generated. Acceptance becomes a powerful medicine, and above all, remember that life is not meant to be completely transparent. Some experiences are sacred. Some emotions are meant to mature quietly within. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strength that has learned patience. Old age is not the end of expression. It is the refinement of it. Speak when words heal. Stay silent when silence protects. That balance is wisdom. As life moves forward, something beautiful happens within us. The urge to explain everything slowly fades, and the need to protect our inner peace grows stronger. In the early years, we often speak to be understood, to be accepted, to be noticed. But with time, we realize that not every truth needs an audience, and not every silence needs to be broken. Old age is not about losing energy, it is about gaining clarity. We begin to see that words have weight. Once spoken, they cannot be taken back, and once shared, they no longer belong only to us. That is why wisdom teaches restraint. Our weaknesses, for instance, do not require constant narration. There was a time when opening up felt healing, but later in life we understand that not everyone knows how to handle vulnerability with care. Some listen out of curiosity, some out of comparison, and some out of quiet judgment. Choosing silence here is not hiding, it is honoring yourself. Money is another area where silence becomes strength. Financial discussions often disturb the natural flow of relationships. Numbers create invisible boundaries. Expectations arise without words being spoken. What you have earned through years of effort and sacrifice deserves respect, not exposure. Keeping such matters private protects both dignity and harmony. Family matters carry emotions, history, and deep connections. Every family has cracks, but those cracks do not need public light. When family conflicts are shared casually, they rarely receive solutions. They collect opinions. Protecting family sometimes means absorbing discomfort quietly rather than spreading it loudly. Silence can be an act of maturity. As years pass, regrets may surface more often. Thoughts like "I should have," or "if only I had," visit the mind, but speaking these regrets repeatedly keeps the heart tied to what no longer exists. Old age is not meant for replaying old scenes. It is meant for understanding them and moving on with compassion. The past should be a lesson, not a life sentence. Plans and intentions, too, need quiet nurturing. Even in later years, dreams exist may be simpler, may be deeper, but when shared prematurely, they attract unnecessary advice and doubt. Let life witness your actions before hearing your plans. Quiet progress often carries the most power. Loneliness is something many experience, even when surrounded by people, but it must be shared with discernment. Some conversations drain more energy than they give. Not every listener offers comfort, some only offer noise. In such moments, silence, prayer, reflection, or nature can become gentle companions. Being alone is not always loneliness. Sometimes it is peace in disguise. Expectations, especially from others, slowly lose their charm. When we speak them aloud, we unknowingly place our happiness in someone else's hands. Old age teaches us to lower expectations and raise acceptance. Happiness becomes simpler when it depends less on people and more on perspective. Life, after all, is not meant to be an open exhibition. Some thoughts are sacred. Some emotions are meant to mature quietly. Silence is not emptiness, it is depth. Old age refines expression. Words become fewer, but meaning becomes richer. Speak when it brings peace. Stay silent when it protects it. That balance is true wisdom. As the years go by, life gently teaches us an important lesson. Not everything that can be spoken should be spoken. In the early chapters of life, we often feel lighter by sharing, by talking, by expressing every thought that comes to the mind. But slowly, through experience, we understand that peace is not found in constant expression. It is found in thoughtful restraint. Old age is not a phase of withdrawal, it is a phase of wisdom, where silence becomes meaningful and words become intentional. With time, we realize that everyone hears, but very few truly listen. Even fewer understand. That is why wisdom teaches us to choose carefully what we share and with whom. Our weaknesses, for instance, once shared easily, now require discretion. Not every listener carries compassion. Some carry curiosity, some comparison, and some judgment. Protecting your vulnerability in old age is not weakness, it is self-respect. Money is another subject that requires quiet handling. Financial matters have a strange way of changing relationships. The moment numbers are discussed, expectations silently arise, comparisons creep in, and peace quietly walks out. What you have earned over a lifetime deserves dignity and privacy. Silence here does not create distance, it preserves harmony. Family relationships are deeply emotional and complex. Every family has moments of misunderstanding and pain, but when these stories are shared outside the family, they rarely return with healing. They return with opinions, assumptions, and labels. Protecting your family sometimes means keeping their struggles within the walls of trust. Silence, in such cases, is an expression of love. As age advances, the mind often revisits the past. Regrets surface decisions that could have been better, words that could have been kinder, but repeatedly speaking about regret keeps the heart trapped in yesterday. Old age is meant for acceptance, not self-blame. The past has already taught its lesson. There is no need to reopen the book every day. Even in later years, dreams and plans continue to exist. They may be quieter, more meaningful, but they are still alive. However, plans spoken too early invite unnecessary advice and doubt. Let your actions do the talking. Quiet effort often brings more fulfillment than loud intention. Loneliness is another reality many face, even while being surrounded by people. But sharing loneliness with the wrong ears can deepen it. Some people listen only to respond, not to understand. In such moments, silence, reflection, prayer, or time with nature can heal more deeply than conversation. Expectations from others also change with age. When spoken aloud, they quietly hand over control of our happiness. Old age teaches us to reduce expectations and increase acceptance. Happiness becomes lighter when it depends less on people and more on inner contentment. Life is not meant to be completely transparent. Some experiences are sacred, meant to be held close. Silence is not emptiness, it is wisdom resting. Old age refines us. Words become fewer, but meaning becomes deeper. Speak when it brings peace. Stay silent when it protects it. That understanding is the true richness of growing older. With time, life slowly changes its rhythm. The speed reduces, but the depth increases. In the earlier years, we often feel that sharing everything will lighten the heart, that speaking more will solve more. But as experience matures us, we begin to understand a gentle truth. Peace does not come from saying everything, it comes from knowing what to keep within. Old age is not about silence out of fear, it is about silence out of wisdom. As years pass, we realize that not everyone who asks questions is seeking understanding. Some are driven by curiosity, some by comparison, and some by habit. That is why discretion becomes essential. Our weaknesses, for example, do not need repeated expression. Once, sharing vulnerability brought comfort. Later, it often brings judgment. Protecting your inner struggles is not hiding, it is honoring the journey you have walked with strength and patience. Financial matters also demand maturity. Money has a subtle influence on relationships. When figures are discussed, dynamics change silently. Expectations arise, opinions form, and peace begins to fade. What you have built through a lifetime of effort deserves privacy. Silence here is not distance, it is dignity. Family life is deeply personal. Every home carries stories of misunderstanding, sacrifice, and growth. When these matters are spoken outside, they rarely return with solutions. They return with opinions. Protecting family sometimes means holding conversations close to the heart rather than spreading them wide. Silence in this context is an act of care. The past, too, becomes more vocal as age increases. Regrets appear quietly, reminding us of choices made and paths not taken. But repeatedly speaking about regret ties the heart to moments that no longer exist. Old age is meant for forgiveness of others and of oneself. Let the past remain a teacher, not a burden. Even in later years, plans and intentions continue to form. They may be simpler, more meaningful, but they are still alive. Yet, plans spoken too early often attract unnecessary advice and doubt. Let your actions speak softly and clearly. Quiet effort often reaches further than loud promises. Loneliness is something many experience, but it requires careful handling. Sharing it with the wrong people can deepen the emptiness. Some conversations drain more than they heal. In such moments, silence, reflection, prayer, or nature can offer companionship without judgment. Being alone is not always loneliness, sometimes it is peace. Expectations from others slowly lose their importance. When spoken aloud, they silently place our happiness in someone else's hands. Old age teaches us to lower expectations and raise acceptance. Happiness becomes simpler when it depends less on people and more on inner balance. Life is not meant to be completely open. Some emotions are sacred, meant to mature quietly. Silence is not emptiness, it is depth. Old age refines expression. Words become fewer, but meaning becomes richer. Speak when it brings harmony, stay silent when it protects peace. That is the quiet wisdom that comes with time, As life slows down, depth increases. Old age is not about proving anything, it is about preserving everything that matters. Your peace, your dignity, your inner smile. Remember, not everything that is felt must be spoken, and not everything that is spoken must be shared. Protect your silence, honor your journey, and let your presence, not your words, speak your wisdom.